Shall we move on to more One Piece theories?
This again? Time for your meds, don't you think?
Are we getting leak spoilers for One Piece chapter 1172? Well then, let's check that out in this video. Right after the intro. Hello everyone, welcome to the Manga Information Channel. I'm back with yet another One Piece video, and today things are about to get spicy. We're officially warming up the engines for chapter 1172, and trust me, the information I brought today is enough to drive any fan completely crazy with anticipation. But before we dive into the content of this video, I've got a small request for you. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That helps the channel grow a lot and reach more people who love One Piece just as much as we do. Share this video in your One Piece groups, send it to that friend who's always desperate for spoilers. Give me that little boost. And hey, if you stick around until the end of the video, drop a comment telling me which part of these spoilers you most want to be real. Let's do an informal poll in the comments. And without further delay, let's get into it. Yes, chapter 1172. I honestly can't wait for us to finally get our hands on the first official information. But could it be that we're already doing that in this video? That's because, as you know, I always like to look for new leakers. You never really know where these sources come from, and sometimes you stumble upon hidden gems on the internet. And this source right here is quite interesting because it supposedly comes from Japan. In fact, it's a Japanese channel, one of those that sometimes we can credit and sometimes we really can't. Now, I need to be honest with you, I'm still very skeptical. There's a lot of content here, a lot of details, and you already know how this works. The more detailed it is, the more suspicious it becomes. But let's place our bets together, all right? Let's analyze everything with a critical eye, but also with that hopeful fan mindset. So once again, just to reinforce it, these spoilers are probably fake, but what if they're real? Since they're coming from Japan, maybe it's someone closer to Shueisha, someone with early access. We've seen cases like that before, so it doesn't hurt to take a look, right? Now tell me in the comments, do you prefer spoilers this detailed or those shorter, more summarized spoilers we usually get? I really want to hear your opinion. All right then, let's talk about what came out. According to this source, the title of chapter 1172 is The Fate of Elbaf. And wow, what a heavy title. That alone suggests something decisive is about to happen on this island. Elbaf is no ordinary place. It's the island of warriors, the island that represents honor, strength, and tradition. If its fate is on the line, then the situation is truly critical. And these spoilers are extremely detailed, okay? This isn't the usual simple text spoiler we get. It's practically a full scene-by-scene narration. That makes me excited and suspicious at the same time. According to this leaker, the gazes of Imu and Luffy finally meet. Guys, do you understand the magnitude of this? Yes, at last, we get the encounter between Imu-sama and Luffy, something we've been waiting for a very long time. Ever since Imu arrived in Elbaf using Gunko's body, we've been anticipating this moment. And it didn't happen earlier because of the Long Harald flashback, which, let's be fair, was amazing, but also left us dying to return to the present. Now let's think about it. Does it make sense for this meeting to happen now? Narratively speaking, yes, it does. Elbaf is being invaded by nightmares created by Imu through Killing Han and by the demons Imu created using the Dome Reverse. But let's get into the details brought by this leaker. Before this epic encounter happens, Chapter 1172 opens in the middle of absolute chaos on Elbaf's battlefield. Loki is facing the Drowger, the ice monster created by Kalinga, the same one that fell into the underworld in the previous chapter. Do you remember how Chapter 1171 ended? It was intense. The colossal body of the creature was covered in a thick layer of ice due to Loki's previous attack, the one named Niflheim. And what an epic name! Niflheim is the realm of ice in Norse mythology, so Oda is really diving deep into the Scandinavian themes in Elbaf. I'm loving every single reference. Moving forward with determination, Loki gripped his weapon, Ragnir, with both hands and unleashed yet another devastating blow. A thunder-like crash echoed across the battlefield, shattering the Drowger's body into pieces. So according to the leaker, the chapter starts with Loki literally breaking, shattering the Drowger's body into fragments. White bone shards fly everywhere in a scene of pure destruction. Luffy and Loki believe the fight is over at that moment. Victory, right? Wrong. Immediately after that, the ground begins to tremble in a sinister way. The bone fragments that should have been completely lifeless start floating in the air as if they had a will of their own, gathering together and regenerating the monster's original form. And here comes an important detail mentioned by the leaker. Remember, this is a nightmare created by Killinghan, so it's not a real monster. The Drowger is still in the fight. It wasn't defeated at all. And that has to be incredibly frustrating for Loki, especially after delivering such a devastating attack. Loki tightens his grip on Ragnir. You can almost feel the tension. The creature reconstructed itself, he growls in irritation. Damn it, so it's that power again. And this is interesting. He's most likely referring to Imu's power, the same one he witnessed before was possessed. Now get ready, because this is where things get truly epic. With an explosive burst of momentum, Loki leapt high into the air. His conqueror's haki erupted violently, warping everything around him, and Ragnir, wrapped in lightning, seemed to twist the very air itself. Guys, just picture that scene. The pressure was so overwhelming that even Luffy, who is no pushover by any stretch, was forced to step back. And look, if even Luffy had to retreat, just imagine the level of power Loki is displaying here. This easily places him among the strongest characters we have ever seen. From above, Loki came crashing down with a devastating strike, and the dragon tried to defend itself by raising its massive sword. But my friends, the impact was absolutely fatal for the monster. Colossal bolts of lightning tore through the sky and slammed into the ground with tremendous force. The creature's sword shattered instantly as if it were made of paper, and the blow infused with Conqueror's haki struck the monster square in the head. And this time, it was different. The bones did not simply fall apart like before. No, they were incinerated before they could even touch the ground, turning into ash in midair. This might be a brand new special move that Loki unveils in this chapter. An attack so powerful that it does not just destroy, it completely incinerates, preventing any regeneration. Silence fell over the battlefield. Even Luffy stood frozen, completely speechless. Loki's strength far exceeded his expectations. And remember, Luffy has seen countless powerful enemies. He has fought emperors, he has fought admirals. If this left him impressed, then Loki truly is a monster. Loki then looked at Luffy and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Hurry, Luffy, we don't have time. If we don't save Elbaf now, everything will be over." The urgency in his voice is unmistakable. At that moment, and get ready, because this is huge, Loki's haki overflowed to the point that it began to distort the space around him. His body started to transform. Yes, according to the leaker, Loki enters the hybrid form of his Akuma no Mi. Bones cracked with horrifying sounds, muscles expanded grotesquely, and gigantic wings burst forth from his back. Loki transformed into a colossal dragon, radiating an aura of absolute superiority, pure, overwhelming power. Luffy, being Luffy, reacted in his usual way. Wow, that's awesome. Even in a tense situation, he can't help but be genuinely impressed by the power of others. That's peak Luffy. The dragon looked down and commanded in a deep voice, "There's no time for surprises, Luffy. Get on my back." Luffy nodded with a confident smile and jumped onto the dragon's back without hesitation. With a single flap of its wings, so powerful that the ground itself thundered, the two took off toward the land of the son of Elbaf, slicing through the clouds at incredible speed. According to the leaker, Luffy and Loki fly straight toward the Sun Kingdom, with Luffy riding on Loki's back in his complete dragon form. However, and here comes my first major criticism of these spoilers, the leaker does not specify exactly which devil fruit Loki has. There is no mention of whether it is a mythical Zoan, model Fenrir, or some specific type of dragon. This seriously hurts the credibility of these spoilers, because I firmly believe that if Loki is revealing his dragon form for the first time, We would absolutely get the classic devil fruit introduction box showing the fruit's name. Oda always does that with major transformations. But let's continue with the spoilers. As they approached the Sun Kingdom, the sight was absolutely terrifying. The realm was completely infested with gigantic monsters created by Killingham. Ancient structures lay in ruins. The ground was devastated as if a massive war had taken place, and the desperate screams of giant warriors echoed through the air. "This is terrible," Luffy muttered, and you can feel the weight in his voice. Loki roared in frustration. "We didn't make it in time, and that has to hurt," failing to protect his people. While flying overhead, trying to understand the situation and plan their next move, they spotted two figures that appeared to be Dory and Brogy, the legendary giant captains. Luffy smiled in relief and shouted out to his friends, happy to see them. But the moment they landed, the reception was nothing like he expected. Brogy, without saying a single word, without any explanation, raised his massive axe and delivered a brutal strike straight at Luffy, clearly with the intent to kill. Loki reacted instantly. His reflexes were incredible, and he blocked the deadly attack. The impact was so powerful that it cracked the ground beneath them. That's when Luffy realized it. Something was very, very wrong with his friends. The giants' bodies were abnormally distorted, and their eyes lacked that familiar spark, that reason, that life. They looked more like demons than the honorable warriors Luffy knew. Behind them, a woman emerged silently, like an apparition. It was none other than Gunko, the leader of the Valkyries. However, her eyes were completely soulless, empty like those of a lifeless doll. Loki understood immediately what was happening. After all, he had seen this before. There's no doubt, the same being that possessed my father is now inhabiting this woman's body. Luffy stepped forward, brave as always, facing the cold and threatening presence before him. "Was it you who turned Dory and Brogy into this?" Luffy asked, barely containing his anger. Imu did not respond right away. She simply looked at Luffy with pure contempt, as if he were nothing more than an insect. The heavy silence confirmed the gravity of the situation. Luffy clenched his fists tightly, feeling power overflow from his body. He entered Gear 5, his white Nika form, as his heart began to beat with the legendary drums of liberation, dum-doo-dum, that unmistakable rhythm. When Imu saw that transformed form, her expression changed completely. For the first time, a deep fear appeared in her eyes. "So you have finally appeared, Joy Boy," Imu whispered, her voice trembling with centuries of accumulated hatred. Then, Imu said something truly chilling. "It seems our battle is about to begin again here." This confirms that Imu and Joy Boy truly fought in the past. Loki positioned himself strategically in front of Dory and Brogy, protecting Luffy's back like a true ally. He told Luffy that Dory and Brogy would be his responsibility. He promised to take them down and try to return them to normal by breaking the possession, while Luffy could focus entirely on Imu-sama, or rather on the possessed woman standing before them. Luffy responded with pure determination. "All right, I'm going to beat that woman up." That's our captain. Confidence incarnate. Loki then looked at Luffy seriously and said, "I'm counting on you. The future of Elbaf, the future of my people, is in your hands." The chapter ends with this monumental encounter. Luffy versus Imu will begin in chapter 1173, and there will be no break. So yes, these would be the possible spoilers. I'll say it up front, the chance of this being fake is about 90%. But why did I bring this here? Because what if it isn't? And also as a curiosity and as a way to start warming up the engines for chapter 1172, which arrives next week. And speaking of chapter 1172, the hints should start next Monday, January 26th, confirmed spoilers on January 27th, and the full summary on January 28th. Scans should drop between January 29th and January 30th, and the chapter will be officially released on February 1st. That's it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. See you next time, and thanks a lot.